All right, welcome back to the Design Huddle. We had some technical glitches earlier, but we're back. Today we're going to be talking about super apps. This is really what we want to do is an overview of what a super app is and why they're so popular in the East, but not necessarily the West. So we're going to kind of start from the top. Mustafa, I feel like, has a little bit more expertise than me, so I might be sitting in the interviewer seat so we can get the most out of the episode. Just to frame the conversation, a super app is basically many apps within an umbrella app. It's an operating system that bundles the tyranny of apps. It's like a portal to the internet for a mobile first generation. That's like a definition that I saw that I liked.
Yeah, that's good.
So is that accurate? I mean, obviously the big one is WeChat. So let's maybe start there and give an overview of why you think they're popular and why WeChat is taking off.
I think there are two things which are at play. There's like the history of the technology and then the market at the particular time. Like one of the common threads is that back in the late 2000s, so 2010, 2011, major search engines were pulling out of China because of like some like controversies that were happening, and that left an open hole for like app access and search access and stuff like that. So if you imagine if like a major search engine or a major platform just leaves a market, it leaves a huge hole. And then I suppose what that did was it sort of allowed the market to develop from scratch and think, all right, what would be a better way of creating things, or would there be a better approach? And that's where like WeChat was born. So to put it into context, imagine on your phone you have like you have one app, and then you open that app and it has like 5 or 6 apps embedded within it. So your food delivery service, your taxi service, your like Alibaba, which is like the Amazon equivalent, I think, in China. And it's all bundled in one thing. You're not having to search for stuff. You're just literally going to services that you actually need. And so that's pretty much, and WeChat, which is the most prominent one in China, has just basically grown from there. So WeChat reminds me of like the problem that web designers had when Fireworks, which was a really popular web design application, and Sketch kind of just happened to be produced at the same time. I remember going to a talk with the sort of makers of Sketch, the design application, and they said, we didn't win, like Fireworks just basically was killed by Adobe, and so we won by default because web designers were looking for a simple tool that wasn't Photoshop and didn't require some sort of like really long subscription service which you couldn't sign out of, like, which that's the sort of common criticism of Adobe. So like WeChat was basically, one of the stories is WeChat basically was a gap in the market and they redesigned what that problem is. And so if you look at super apps, they're really popular in Asia. So I think that's one thread of why super apps are really successful. I think the other thread comes down to, and we've spoken this loads of times in the past, keyboards don't lend well to non-Latin based languages. So like English was designed, the keyboard was designed for English. And so retrospectively, touchscreen devices, keyboards don't really work too well. You know, and when you're looking at, say, Arab or Middle Eastern languages, they the shape of the characters can change because it's very calligraphic style of writing. So an A can change shape depending on what it's next to. So if you imagine like we have ligatures in English, which would be FI is a ligature because it has to be redesigned so that the dot and the crossing of the F doesn't actually intercept. Well, like they have loads of ligatures in that, if that would be like an equivalent. And so the common thing in the Middle East is to actually record sound and send like voice messages over WhatsApp. But so like, and in Asia obviously it's very pictorial, and so relying on text for search, it doesn't really lend itself in the same manner. So I think both the technology not really, the existing technology not really suiting the problem, and then a major platform pulling out of the market. I think those two things in tandem led to the birth of like the super app, which is really popular.